Marcus sent me this, but it might as well have been 500 more of you, because I kid you not, I got this like 500 times over the past weekend. Marcus said, I guess you don't have much to say about your boy Deion now, do you? I got every bit as much to say about Deion Sanders now as I did 2 weeks ago. I sat here and I thought about this for a solid 36 hours. It's why we didn't talk about it Sunday. We talked about the USC game, but I didn't address all the trash talk that was going on towards me, of all people. Me. I've never even been to Boulder. So I have no clue what it means. I stared at it and stared at it and stared at it. I have no clue what he's talking about. It's just proof not everyone is Pate State material. They make JUCOs for a reason. Some folks are JUCO at best. Go, try it out for 2 years, and reapply 2 years from now. I got like 500 of these. This is not isolated. If it was isolated, I wouldn't talk about it. So anyway, what I did with Marcus and the Marcuses of the world is I created one reply, and I just copied and pasted it to like 400 people. And the reply reads as follows. Are you listening, Marcus? Quote, what have I said about Deion in Colorado that was inaccurate? Unquote. And I sent. I didn't get a single logic-based or truth-based response. And I know that shocks you, but let's walk through it anyway. This is dealing with casuals. We are in a casual world these days. The first and most common refrain in the replies was, well, you just hyped him up too much. I picked Oregon to beat him. I picked USC to beat him. I picked TCU to beat him, and I was wrong. I've hyped him up. Jesse, do you have those numbers, by the way? I'm the one who hyped him up. Have you seen the numbers that this team has done when they play on TV? They played at TCU. That was the second most watched game that week. They played Nebraska, second most watched game. Guys, the past 3 weeks, Colorado has been in the most watched game in America, and that includes a game against Colorado State that went to like 2 a.m. on the East Coast. I didn't hype them up. You did. You're the one watching them. You know, I don't know how we define hype. I really don't. Like, talking about what people are interested in? Is that what you're talking about? Now, I will grant you this, Marcus and company. There have been some clownish takes on Deion Sanders in Colorado. There have been. We call it the Deion tax on this show. And we've been very intentional about not contributing to the Deion tax. The Deion tax is, they're really popular. He's a high-profile figure. Some folks who are opportunist and casual enough in nature and drive by our sport normally have parked in the driveway, started to run their mouth about our sport because they know if they say Deion, if the word Deion or Colorado comes out of their mouths, people will just clap like seals. Okay, we have not trafficked in that, nor will we. We were talking about him in the spring. We talked about it in the summer. We've never talked about it just to talk about it. We've always had a particular angle or things have been in the news. Otherwise, I hadn't hyped that dude up one bit. Who in the world needs a guy on YouTube hyping Deion Sanders up for him to be hyped? He's Deion Sanders. He played for the Falcons when I couldn't even walk. Like, Deion Sanders has been hyped as long as Deion Sanders has been Deion Sanders. Secondly, the second most popular response I got was, I told you they couldn't contend. You didn't have to tell me. Vegas putting an over-under of 3.5 out was a pretty good indicator. They weren't going to contend for a title. Who said they were? Again, if anyone did, those are the folks to clown on. Those are the folks to dunk on. Because if anyone tried to lead you to believe Colorado was a top 15 team, if anyone tried to lead you to believe Colorado was going to contend for or compete for a conference championship, let alone a college football playoff spot or a national championship, that's casual, that's clownish, go dunk on it. No one here, nor anyone in their right mind, said that. No one said it. It's like people kind of create what they want to have heard in lieu or in absence of it actually being said. Like, for every one person who said, hey, Deion in Colorado could win the Pac-12, like 500 million people said they're not going to win the Pac-12. Like, they're a surprise. They're really fun to watch, highly entertaining. They're not going to win the Pac-12. It's like I watched one time, can't remember where it was, there was an alleged riot going on, and there was this behind-the-scenes picture of like 500 photographers around one person throwing a bottle. And all of these outlets run with this one picture that's supposed to encapsulate the riot that happened. There's no riot. It was kind of an indictment on a false message being spread. Well, this is the same way. People talk about how many folks built Deion and Colorado up as contenders. Hardly anyone did. And so about 5 voices out there who rightly should be mocked and dragged through the mud have been amplified to, I don't know, reflect like 85% of college football fandom. It's just not the way it is. The number 3 most popular refrain I got. I told you that stuff doesn't work. I told you Deion's approach wouldn't work. It is working. Who says it's not working? Deion's approach not working is not proven out by them not beating Oregon. Deion's approach not working isn't proven out by him not beating USC. What was the alternative? Which approach would work? They won 1 game last year. That's the other approach at Colorado. They tried the other approach. The other approach is what the rest of the Pac-12 wants them to keep trying. Deion Sanders' approach is working. You know what the approach is? Get good players. That's it. Get good players. Well, Josh, you got to develop them. You got to put them in the right position. They've got to execute. Tell you what, go recruit crap and then develop it and put it in the right position and have it execute. It wins 1 game. That sounds harsh. If you think it's harsh, you didn't watch Colorado football last year. Judging by the ratings, you did not. You are watching it this year. There wasn't any Travis Hunter or Shedeur Sanders walking around Boulder, Colorado, unless they were on the visiting team last year. His approach does work. What in the world are you talking about? Because they didn't win 10 games or won't win 10 games this year, it doesn't work? Again, these are people who recalibrate their expectations because they were made fools of. Folks picked TCU to beat them. I did. But the difference is when Deion and Colorado beat TCU, I just said, wow, they proved me wrong. Golf clap for Colorado. Well, not everyone did that because some folks are too prideful about things as dumb as picks in football to admit they're wrong. So instead what they do is they say, TCU's going to smoke Colorado. Colorado just beat TCU. Yeah, well, they won't win the Pac-12. Well, that's quite a leap you made there, friend. And then they don't win the Pac-12. Told you. You told me what? Told you they wouldn't win the Pac-12. No one suggested otherwise. Why are you yelling, by the way? What's got you so... Is there an underlying issue here? It sounds like there's a lot of rage built up that Deion Sanders nor Colorado necessarily put there. Are you okay? Cedric, are you okay? Freddie, are you okay? Marcus, are you okay? I know the Marcuses of the world actually like to think they know me. It's normally the you're an idiot crowd, Y-O-U-R, you're an idiot. In reality, I know this crowd. I know Marcus better than Marcus knows me. Marcus made a lot of allegations that were patently false, like I will Venmo $500 to the Marcus Foundation if you provide me 1 bit of evidence that I hyped Deion in Colorado against Oregon or USC, that I hyped them at all. Talking about them is not hyping them. No, Marcus, I know you. You're probably just an unhappy individual. And you looked at Deion Sanders going to Colorado, and you listened to him, and he rubbed you the wrong way, which is totally fine. But then you took it personal. Even though Deion couldn't pick you out of a lineup, you could pick him out of a lineup. And so he is living rent-free in your head, and anyone who talks about him is guilty of hyping Deion Sanders. No, I'm guilty of being entertained by a guy who's doing it a different way. I am guilty of being entertained by it. I am guilty of rooting for him. If you call that unprofessional as a journalist, let me remind you, I've never called myself a journalist. I just got a YouTube channel. I got a college football show. It does pretty well because of you guys. I appreciate it. But make no mistake, I've got some favorites, and Deion's one of them, and I pull for him. So there it is. I'll still be called a Deion hater somehow in the comments on this particular video. But yeah, Marcus, I'm going to pray for you tonight, and I would encourage the listening and viewing audience to do the same.